What's up, Banana Bunch? Welcome back to the Jungle
another
Gyms
episode of the Jungle Gyms
You know what?
podcast.
I got a wild one for you this week. We're learning about how we can
tell from my tone of voice
section of our
store.
I've got two big
Talking
interviews that
international coffee.
Cannot wait to share with you.
I had a wild encounter with another random customer on
What Brings You In.
this week.
But first,
is the first
of our
it's review
big
time.
seafood spectacular.
That's right. The month isn't quite over, and I'm still trying to hit 100 reviews
for
by
a
the
little
year's
while
end.
on the show.
And
Unless you're new to the show and this is your first episode, well, what a great one. Now, I've been telling you that Apple Podcasts is the only place where you can review a show. But as of this week, Spotify is now added a place where you can review a show.
That's awesome.
Specialist
Spotify
is on a whole other
Our
level.
show's success is driven by your support, and the easy
You're going
way
to learn so much information
is by
that
writing
you
us a
will
review
later on either Apple
on
Podcasts
dates.
or now
You're
on Spotify.
I'm also
Let
joined
me
today by
read a review to you
legendary
so you know how
comedian
easy it is.
Tony Woods.
This one comes to us from
for you to hear the extended interview Jungle and I did with him.
T33. But first, you know
Quote,
what time it is.
One of the
That's
great
right.
things about
It's
visiting
review
Jungle
time,
Gyms is the
baby.
exploration of new
All right,
things.
I had a goal of hitting 100
Mark,
reviews
the
by
host,
the end of
does
this
a
month, which is
fantastic job
December.
tapping into what
Okay,
makes the Jungle Gyms
2021.
experience
Let's be
so
very
exciting for
specific in case
newcomers
you're listening
or
in the future like,
for people who
Mark,
enjoy
that's cool.
visiting frequently.
And you know what? We're so close.
The podcast is informative and fun.
It tastes good.
With Mark's animated commentary and
reviews and
personality
downloads
at the helm,
help
as well as his
us
ability
in
to
the
connect with his guests,
almighty
he's able to
Apple
deliver the
Podcast
passion and
ratings.
expertise
Now,
of his
I may
guests
be
to
steering
his
the ship
listeners
on a
in
top
every episode.
100 food podcast.
That's so nice. Thanks,
pretty cool, right?
CT33.
But
I
you can
really
imagine
appreciate the review.
that I'm in
Thank
competition
you
with some
so
huge
much
shows that have been
for
around
taking the
for
time out
years
to
and
do
years
that for
and
us. I
already
truly
have
appreciate it. I hope you all
thousands
know that.
of reviews.
And I mean that for all of
this
you
means I need
that have
help.
written reviews. You're all very
A short
important to
review
me.
of this show.
So yeah,
keeps us
now
winning.
we're
And
in
guess
that
what?
time of year where the holidays
free
are
to do.
over, but we're in that kind of.
If you want to support a show
weird
that you
state
love
of
like
flux
this one,
where
hit us with
time
a
has
review
no
on Apple
meaning,
Podcasts.
I've
and
eaten
make
so
sure
many
that
chips
you subscribe
and
to the
other
show.
delicious things.
Download the show and
But
share
that's
it
okay.
with your friends.
Still got a fun show today.
One of my
If I sound a little
biggest
weird,
personal goals for 2022
how dare you?
is to
But
not
it's because
hear
I'm a little under the
anyone
weather.
say
But
to
great
me,
news because it's
Jungle
all
Gyms
negative
has a
test
podcast?
results on my end.
I don't know what.
But you know what else is great news?
That sounds
We
like
are
a personal
almost
problem.
done.
But of course,
Setting
we
up
have a podcast.
the live
We
microphone
have
outside
everything.
the studio here.
You know what? And all of it's
And
great.
if you haven't been in, we installed a
Speaking of
microphone
things that
outside
we
the
have a
studio,
lot
so you
of,
can reach
we
out
have
to
some
me if you
job
want
openings,
to come
and I
get
wanna
involved.
invite you all to be a part of
Maybe
the
at some
Jungle
point we'll do some Q&As
Not in
live
the
when I've
podcast
got guests
room. I'm
on.
not
I think
personally
that would be a
hired
lot
to
of
the store
fun.
in general. This should be
But
very
this means
clear
that you
before it turns into
will be able to come in here and just get involved with the
You're
show
gonna hear more
directly
details
rather
about
than
this in
what
coming
normally happens
episodes.
is
And
me
honestly,
chasing
even today,
you
you're
and
gonna
other
get a
customers around the
teaser
store
of
to be
how
like,
we
hey, what are you here
headhunt people
for?
from
What
all
fun
over the
things are you
world.
shopping?
And that's not a
Or
joke either. I know.
What do you want to know
for
about
a
Jungle
fact
Gyms?
that
And
we
we
have
come to the
listeners all
show.
over the
Oh
world
no,
right
I've
now.
made you
I
anxious.
can
I'm
even
so
see
sorry.
what countries you're listening to.
I
or
think
what
this whole
states in
thing
the
is
US
really,
you're
really,
listening
really
from.
cool now. So we've got some nice first class
Maybe
seating
you have a
up
passion
here.
for
We've got
food
the
or a
microphone.
special skill
I
set.
can now
And if
tap into
so,
the store's
we wanna
audio to
meet you.
broadcast. I'm being serious about this.
All
Shoot
of
me a
you.
line.
I think
at
it's so damn
podcast
cool.
at junglegyms.com.
And you know what?
In the
Where
meantime,
else
if you
but
heard
Jungle
this
Gyms
and
would
said
you
to
get this
yourself,
kind of
well, I
action?
want to be a part of that crazy place.
And
I
guess
don't
what?
think Trader
I'll get you
Joe
connected.
is into this.
Sound good?
He's probably
Great.
not. Okay, so first up today,
speaking of
let's
action,
chat with Tony Woods.
And if you're
I
saying,
grabbed a
Mark,
random customer the other day for a quick chat, and it
Woods.
turns out
Tell
that
me
they were
about it.
incredibly talented,
Well,
and I just had
they
to do
say
this.
that
This
there
is
are
one of
two
those things.
types
Look,
of
what I like
comedians.
about this job,
Those who
amongst
say
a billion
funny
other
things,
things that I've said I
and
liked about
those
this
who
job,
say
is that I
things
get to
funny.
meet random people all the time.
I kind of feel like
And
Tony's
sometimes
both.
those people surprise you with like their
Watching
life
a
stories
master
and
of the
talents
craft like this
and all that
perform is
kind of
something
stuff.
you rarely get to see,
I
right?
keep
And
a
knowing
stash
that he
of
has
instruments in my
mentored so many
studio.
great comedians
Really,
over the
I want
years
to. It's
makes
the
so
guy from the
much
first
sense.
episode whose
The
name
guy
escapes me right
is
now.
just
But
consistently
he came in
effortlessly
and
funny.
sang beautifully
Now, if
on
you
our
wanna
very
pause
first
the show
episode.
real fast and get
And
a
ever
quick
since then, he had
sense of
mentioned he was a
Tony's
clarinet
work.
player for
One of my
35
favorite
years.
recent
Now, mind
pieces
you,
can be seen
at the
on
time, I had an
Netflix
alto
on
sax
the
in my car, and I
also
really was like,
hilarious
I should bring
Tiffany
this in.
Haddish's show,
But I didn't.
called
Hindsight's
Ready.
2020. So
I
what I
think we
did in
got
the
to
meantime,
see Tony once again at one of the
because I
best
brought a bunch
comedy
of my
clubs in the country.
guitars,
That just
keyboards, all kinds of
so
stuff like that. Because
happens
you never
to be
know
right down the road from
who
us here at the Jungle.
gonna meet
Called Go Bananas
Jungle
Comedy
Gyms.
Club.
And you know, like I
when
said, I
saw
just want
Tony
to
and he
occasionally
talked about going on
capture
the
and
Joe Rogan
expose these
experience in a
secret
few weeks. I
skills.
figured I was like, you know what? You gotta ask.
I'm diving too far here. I don't want to actually spoil this. So check out this quick "What Brings You In"
was a good
with
idea
Babe
as well,
Wells.
because while he was here, we spent
One of
a
my
bunch of time
favorite
touring the
segments to
store
do is "What
and playing
Brings You
around
In,"
with these, like,
and I've been trying
30-ish
a lot
pound
lately with customers to
lobsters
just
with
bring them into the
Ross. studio. Who again, you're going to meet right after this segment. They're a little apprehensive to come talk to me, especially if they're not used to this. But I joked with you outside the booth. And I thought cool, so I thought I'd have to bring you in. So, babe, the world of comedy. Nice to meet you. First off,
where else?
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, what brings you in the store today? Is it a beer run? Is that what I understand?
Yeah, looking for a few things for a couple holiday parties coming up next week. So
that's awesome.
I might do some desserts. I might do some alcohol. Looking for maybe like building a little charcuterie board for my dad for the holidays.
How did you know you were funny?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I love that we have that charcuterie deli separate.
As a matter of fact, someone told me.
I was just looking at it over there. I'll have to make a second pass before I leave.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to stump you, but I appreciate you letting me one of my favorite things, like I said, is to bring people in and just be like, why are you here today? Not an aggressive way, not as aggressive.
Sure. And you guys are slammed for the holiday season. So.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? And it's been crazy like this since
you'll say
probably mid-November.
Whatever it may be.
I'm new to it. So I've worked retail before, but I've not worked in like food retail in this regard.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't sure what to expect.
Instead of laughing.
And I'm kind of in the, as you can now see, we're sitting here literally just looking.
It's like they're pointing you in a direction. Like, yo,
yeah, this is awesome. The setup is great you have over here.
Yeah,
very cool.
I feel like I am the luckiest person.
You might see a 3-year-old and pick up something.
Do you live in the area?
I do. I live over on the east side of Cincinnati.
Okay, so
more towards like Anderson Township.
Okay, I was going to ask you, do you have a preference in which jungle gyms you usually visit?
Sometimes I come out here because there are some things you can find here, not at the other one, but the other one's closer. My wife and I go there all the time.
I love it. That's so cool. Well, thanks.
He wore an earring.
Yeah, actually, she used to work for a spell over at the Paradise Pavilion, which I'm not sure if they have anymore. It was like a cigar and a Scotch tasting bar.
So I think it just recently reopened. I want to say like end of October-ish.
Okay.
I went to they had 3 Floyd, so it's back to the beer thing. They had
awesome.
We had a tasting event there. It's a beautiful space. I didn't even know it was there. I've shopped that store a lot before I came to work for the company.
Yeah.
Had no idea that whole thing was back.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
They've got they just told me recently they have a big ice skating rink.
And he says,
outside of the store in the RJ Cinema there.
Wow.
I'm like, you think?
Yeah.
I can't ice skate, unfortunately.
I can't either. It's actually one of my worst nightmares.
So great. So would you like to go?
Right.
Well, so babe, what do you do for a living?
What I do for a living, I'm a musician. I consider myself a bit of a tradesman when it comes to that regard. And I also work part-time as under a chef here in Cincinnati who owns the Red Feather Kitchen, and who owns Dutch's Larder that just opened up over on Erie Avenue in Hyde Park.
Oh, cool.
So I'm working in the kitchen there.
Just like that.
I love doing that. I would consider cooking my hobby, music my passion. So I do both of those quite often, all the time, 7 days a week. And I'm a brand new father.
Congratulations! That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
A little terrifying, I'm sure.
It is a little bit. I'm a little worn out, but in the best way. I don't know how else to put it other than that. In the best way possible.
So I'm going to cycle back to music because now I'm like, oh, you do look cool. Of course, you're a musician.
Here comes the Christians line.
How did you get into the food thing?
I started working in food when I was in college.
I did what everybody else did. I started clapping my hands and looking around.
It just always seemed to work out. I think creative types like to be in the kitchen.
I didn't go out.
You know what I mean? And
went back to work the next day. And
creative types tend to run kitchens. So if you have things like music or whatever you have going on art-wise, they seem pretty supportive of that.
Open-minded people generally speaking.
Yeah. And I'm totally in a blessed position right now that the guys who run the places that I work at are very, very supportive of what I got going on musically. So
it was so cool. I haven't been to Dutch's Larder yet, but it's on my list.
And when you see it packed,
but I love what Brad's doing over at Red Feather. That's like one of my. I think I've mentioned it on here before, but if not, I still have awful dreams in the best way about the red wine caramel sauce he makes for that pork chop.
Oh yeah, it's unreal, isn't it? Yeah, and Brad's a great guy. He's an amazing guy to work with. He's got another guy named Luke helping run the kitchen over at Dutch's. That I think was at. I don't want to speak for him or anything, but I think he worked for Ruby for 8 years before he came over to Dutch's. So definitely an experienced cast over there.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can't bury the lead too much in this one. So music, huh? What kind of music do you make? And I have a vested interest in this, as you can see my pile of guitars in the corner.
Yeah. So the music I make, man, there's a lot to it. I come from punk rock. I came from like what I would consider the national touring circuit. All through my 20s, I was all over America, all over North America, I should say, Canada and the States, and a little bit in Europe. Show or two in Mexico, and I was playing heavy punk rock music, you know what I mean? But my heart has always been in blues and soul and R&B and roots rock and that kind of stuff. Heavily influenced by Delta blues and heavily influenced by guys like Levon Helm and Tom Waits and stuff like that. That's the stuff I grew up on. So I just recently kind of ventured pretty much like right around when the pandemic really hit. I decided to finally venture into my solo project, which I'm doing right now under my name, Babe Wells. And I put
show
out
plug.
yeah, this time last year I put out like a holiday EP as kind of my first solo release.
Afraid.
Cool.
To get up in front of people.
Yeah, and I just released it.
No. I mean,
kind of a little bit more on a wide scale this year on Spotify and iTunes. Finally getting that because my band had some contractual stuff to do prior to that. We had a record that came out earlier this year.
You put up with him like
so that band's called The Epidemic. It was like I said, heavy kind of upbeat punk rock, fun stuff. But this new stuff I'm venturing into and really just wanting to get my songs I've been writing for the last decade of my life out into the world.
So 3 years later,
is more on, like I said, the soulful, bluesy R&B side of things.
I'm gonna go
when I say R&B, like a classic R&B.
Sure. And I did the same. I did the same thing. I went in there and just 3 years later, my confidence is a little better.
You know, it's subjective, just like everything else. But I think that I'd like to think I'm pretty good.
I call my name and I didn't
question
go up.
properly. I have this running thing where it's like if an artist answers and that kind of like, you know what I mean, like that little bit of humility. All right, let me ask you then an even more difficult question. As I mentioned, pile of guitars in the room.
Yeah,
you want to
play something? Would you be? Is that weird to ask?
I'd love to play. I'd love to play the one of the songs off the holiday
late on Thursday night.
I think I'm cool with that. Yeah, that's a perfect time of year. Okay, in that case, well, either this is the end of the interview if it's awful, or you're about to hear a song from Big. No, this is great, baby. This is what I love about this job. Where else but Jungle Gyms am I gonna have a musician come in and go like, yeah, I'd like to play in your studio.
Yeah,
I know that.
Let's Christmas, baby. Okay,
that's why I had you to do that.
You can find this on Spotify, Apple Music, and all major streaming services. Just check out.
I want you to speak, and it's one of them things.
The song's called New Year's Eve Alone.
It's scary. It's not like when someone laughs at something funny that you say. It's like they stop what they're doing and go, that was funny.
See, I don't get that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. He goes, now that.
Cheap wine.
So when all these comedian shows, well, how do they get the people clapping? Do they turn up something? Is that all fake?
No.
Singing out lang syne.
So here's what happened with me. My ex-wife, I'm doing comedy.
Well,
She's telling everybody I'm doing comedy. And I'm like, don't tell her I'm doing comedy. Because I wasn't doing comedy.
Feels like I finally lost my mind.
I was not only lying to her.
Feels like I'm wasting my time. I spend New
Year's. It was the third Thursday in May. The executives are going out of town.
Like I spent Christmas morning.
So I'm gonna go with you.
Ignoring calls from home. I spent my last 2 cents.
Oh my God. All day long, this is me. Writing stuff down.
I just not sleep
write stuff down. That whole day was just horrible. So with my buddy, we used to go with me. He said,
it ain't nothing new.
Talking about that, just do that.
No, it ain't nothing new.
You know it's gonna be 5 minutes long. Don't worry about it. No, I ain't with it. Because it's not him, it's me who has to go there. But anyway, so me, him, and her.
I'm always the last.
Even the MC said it. He goes, we got the infamous new guy. Because I was put my name on this and never go up. And it says Tony Lewis. And I stood up. Right? He looked at me like, I see you here all the time. So but there's like, and I just walked to that stage. I got on stage and I couldn't remember anything I had written down. And I said, hey, you guys look good. Hey, you guys smell good. And then some guy in the front goes, hey, look, his leg is shaking. And my leg was shaking. And he was laughing. And I'm like, hey, your stomach is shaking. And everybody laughed. I go, but don't worry about it. I said, hey, dude, I used to be fat too. I was like, wow, 70 pounds. Which made everybody laugh. I said, because I was just talking. And boom, and the rest just came to God. And I just started talking about when I set my mom's bed on fire by accident. And then I remember that light came on. It was like, and you got me wrap it up. Be like, okay, thanks guys. Blah, 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 blah. I just said, I'm Tony Woods. Good night. so really, I probably did like 4 minutes. Like, yeah, maybe 3.5. Because you get 5. And they was like, what do you want in your life? I didn't even know what that was at that time. Like they said, what do you want in your life? So you say, give me my life in 3 minutes. That means I know I got 2 minutes to wrap up. Some guys say, give me 1 minute.
Signal you.
Yes.
Like
a literal light.
What's going on? So know where you're at.
Yeah, it was basically shop talk. I didn't know. They go, what do you want? You like? I'm like, right. And he was like, okay, Steve. so when the light came on, man, I just said, good night, my name's Sonny. I said, my name's Sonny. Good night. I was like clapping and cheering, and it was a rush. Like no other. That was short. Maybe that was 10 minutes of glory for me. Then my ex-wife said, now listen, you're funnier than a lot of these guys. Some of these guys. You need to go back there because all the real comedians were hanging in the back. You need to go back there and talk to them about paying. And to this day, me and this guy Andy Evans, we call him like the Godfather.
Oh my gosh,
of comedy in DC.
That was. I'm laughing because I'm like, of course, only at Jungle Gyms are we going to bring in somebody randomly that is going to sound like that.
Man, what's up, man?
Dude, that was incredible.
How do I get paid in here?
So
he goes,
Mark. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, babe.
I know he was just fucking with me.
I'm stammering because I'm just. This happened at the same time. I don't know if you've listened to the show before. We'll be in an episode of like my first guest that was random in here. He's a gospel singer. He
says,
I'm stammering because that was incredible. Thank you so much.
You were just up there, right?
And look at that. We can see the round of applause coming around here. How cool is that, everyone? Like, this is the kind of fun stuff we want to do only at Jungle Gyms.
He gets all the comedians. He says, and they're like,
that's
what's
awesome.
up? And that's back when you could still smoke inside.
That was incredible, right? And that was my first time having a live performance in the studio at all, which was really exciting. Especially, again, you just walk up to a person and you're like, "Hi, what are you here for?" And they're like, "Beer."
He said, "You came up and you grabbed me in the collars. Hey man, how I get my money here, son?"
It turns out they're incredibly talented. That was fun.
And
what was even more fun is this was the first time I really got to, outside of an interview, test out the broadcasting to the main store. So it was really fun for me to watch people walking through the store, seeing this performance happen live. And then, like, literally stopping what they were doing. They're doing exactly what Jungle thought would happen with the little display out here. They came, they sat in a little first-class seats. They watched the show. They listened to it. I mean, even our employees were sitting there going, like, wow, this is incredible. I mean, not that I get plenty of positive feedback and reinforcement from my coworkers, but it was really cool to see something like this. That was, how should I say? I was just winging it, and it turned out great. But once I heard Babe start warming up, I was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and turn on the PA system.
I go back to sit with her.
Thanks for coming in, Babe. Truly, I'm stammering because I'm like, I don't even know what to say. It was amazing.
Because whatever you said, they're still laughing.
Up next, the real meat and potatoes.
They were all laughing and pointing at me from across the room. They go,
we have this program and section of the store here called Discoveries, and I really like Discoveries because I wanted to use it as a means of introducing everyone to different cultures and other experiences in the store, and that's the point of the actual section anyway. But I'm like, I've got this broadcast platform here, podcast.
Really nice.
I can make everyone super hip to all these things, and every month when it changes, blah blah blah.
And it's now too late to start.
This month, for example, we're covering coffee from all over the globe. So right now, I've been sipping on the more traditional coffee end here, the French press. I've got Jacob's Kronen, which is a popular German coffee. And after looking them up a little bit more, they describe how much time they put into the pampering aroma, which is
Jungle Gym.
Really? Well, I mean, it smells nice. I don't know that coffee actually makes me feel pampered so much as it just makes me feel like alert and alive. But, it's a rich aroma. In the words of Kyle MacLachlan, it's a damn good cup of coffee. But in my other mug here, I also wanted to try kind of on the opposite end of things. It's a DD brand. It's an instant Thai coffee, which I actually think is even more fun. So it's very similar in flavor to Thai tea.
For them, over in England,
tried that. And you know what? If you haven't tried Thai tea,
it's the same thing but different.
Come on,
we would call it the playground, the schoolyard.
Come get some of it. Have a sip with me. You know what? If you really hear this and you're like, I haven't tried Thai tea, come by. Maybe I'll buy you a bottle. How's that sound? Okay, only for the first person that does it.
So He's trying to help her out.
Thai tea with
He
a
says
little
some
of that
school
instant
master
coffee
came over
flavor as
here.
well. So
He
it's
said-
really
he
good
said,
if you're on the go,
he said,
super
"What
easy
did
to
you
make,
do,
blah, blah, blah.
Jungle
Anyway, I'm
Jim?"
getting lost in the sauce here. So I invited our coffee buyer, Kofi,
Like, boom, he was just
and
being-
manager
he was
Jim to
being
come on and
racially
chat with me about
insulting
all this.
to him
However,
without him knowing.
a combination of what I'm going to call
Because he was
broadcast
because when
anxiety
he said
and
to his-
intense
to his-
workload
to his
around the
dad, he
holidays
says, "He
precluded
called you
Kofi's
what?"
involvement. So
And of course,
instead, Jim and I sat
School
down to
guy
talk
says,
about
"Yeah,
how
well,
Discoveries came
plays
about
on it."
and some things to look forward to on the show, like Lunar New Year. Now, I'll throw this out there. I never want to poke fun at anyone's anxiety about coming and talking on the
They
show.
can't, yeah. So
But I
we're
just
working
wanna
that's
say
on
to
the
all
next
my
part of the
coworkers who
project.
are
So,
listening,
but they'll
yeah,
come watch,
anyone
sitting
else
at first class seating for everybody. I
Well,
love it, though.
those of you listening to the show
So,
know how this goes.
it's
It's
a
just a
hostage
conversation.
situation.
I totally
Yeah.
understand being
so
a little
thank you for
anxious or
meeting my
apprehensive
demands.
about
No,
it,
man,
I promise.
I
want the
look,
show to be good, so I only
told you
want
before
you to sound
we were
good.
recording,
I'll
like,
never,
I've come
ever
to see you for
betray your
the last
confidence,
decade at least.
and I'll never
Man,
make
it's
you
like
sound
always
bad.
coming you through.
Jim,
Seeing you
thanks
come through
for.
and everything. We already got people watching. How's it going,
And it was
everybody?
interesting
To me and like doing some.
Jim,
of my
thanks for
research
coming
once
back.
you agreed
I
to
know
come
we
in.
were going to bring
So,
Kofi in
thank
too,
you.
but I know it's Super
no,
Slam season.
every time I look
Also,
you up,
I'm a
it's
lot
always
of energy, and I know that makes people a
And
little
so,
anxious, especially
you know,
when
if
they're
you're
not doing
how you helped
on-air
shepherd so
interview
many
stuff
other great
regularly. So,
comedians. Obviously,
Kofi, we love
Ohio,
you.
Dave Chappelle,
Come
for
next time. I
example.
promise I'll be
But
very
one of the
gentle.
things I was really curious about
Kofi is our
like, who was
coffee
the mentor
buyer
to you?
here at
Mentioned that I
Jungle
think
Jim
was
in
it-
Fairfield,
was it Andy
and
Evans
he
before?
is
Was
absolutely
No,
buried
Andy
alive
Evans
with
is-
holiday orders right now. So he has to
I
take
don't
a
know.
pass on this.
I
You
don't
will
think
get to meet
I
him
just
in the
kinda-
future
I don't
shows,
know.
though.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, there's
Well,
a guy in
before, I know we were
DC,
talking
his
a little
Chris
bit of coffee
Paul's
today, but I
radio
thought it would be good
personality.
because
Him and,
you know
him
you and I have
and
talked
another guy
about
that I
how
don't know
we
now.
want to
Yep. And I remember once he said-
share
he said that I
discoveries
was
with the
from no
world and how
school
we could bring in
thought.
like that.
Because I just
how do
kind
you
of
word
come
it?
out. He was
Feed
kinda-
manager. I'm so
just kinda
sorry.
do it. But
Category manager.
Category manager,
What
thank
other
you.
comedians
Each time, so I'm really. I think that's
super
something, and
difficult.
I'm obviously saying it for you, but I'm saying it mostly
it's
for the
easy.
audience's
Easy
sake.
to
We're
breathe
going to meet a
into.
lot of fun people.
But
I know you and I have
everybody
already
else
planned
is
our
simple.
Lunar New Year special with Lucia.
Right.
That's going to be a lot of fun. But let's
so
just
it's,
start with the history of discoveries
I guess
because this
stuff
is a
like
really
writing
unique
a
thing.
joke
You know, we talk about that first, only, most mentality
Setting it up,
here,
you know,
and I
what
feel like
they-
this is a
they say,
first.
set up
Right,
joke,
and
punchline. I would-
it's
I
been
wouldn't
a passion of
attitude.
mine. This is, believe it or not, like year 3 or 4 on
That's
this.
just-
It's been out
Really?
there quite a while.
Happens, you know?
This program
and then
initially
just
started
simply write,
as
you
an
know, like,
idea
people
to
go,
do
okay,
subscription
what
boxes.
material are you gonna
yeah.
do?
And
I'm
the
like, I
idea
don't
was
know, I haven't
to
gotten there
pick a
yet.
theme,
Like,
whether it
you know,
be a
what are you gonna
country or a
talk about?
commodity, and then do a theme box based
Sometimes
on
I have
that.
no
and
idea. I
then
had no idea what
both
we were
post it out for
gonna talk
sale
about Charles Dickens
on the
next.
internet and sell
was into it, though.
within the store.
Yeah, I was into it too. I was in the moment.
To go
And it
along with
dead-ass
those
looked like
items
the
that we
fiction.
picked
I mean,
for
when
the
we pulled the
subscription
picture of the
boxes,
show, it was great. I love it. It was like a little bit of interaction,
started
too.
building
Yeah,
the
it's a lot of
displays
interaction,
underneath them.
too.
I would run a shelf full of the
yeah,
boxes
wasn't
or the
nobody
gift packs. Run a lot of the
Well,
items.
one of the things I always like coming about, like the first, you know,
that
like
were
the
in the
midweek
box or
shows, I feel like
related
they're
to the
always like
box
a little
underneath.
quieter.
So that
But
was
I
the
like it
beginning
because
of
to
the beginning
me,
of the
I
program.
feel like I
It
get to see the most
kind of
unfiltered version
fizzled on
of
the
comics,
subscription
right?
box.
Where, like, in, you know,
Part of that
I know
mainly
I've known you
because
for, what, like a
of
few
handling and
hours
freight
now, but,
costs,
like,
which
to
are worse
me, I
now
kinda
than
got
ever.
that vibe where I was like,
So
oh, I think I have a better
we
understanding
eventually turned it into
Yeah,
a gift
thought
box
process
program.
better than I probably would on a
And
Friday.
Because if it was
we would run the
Friday
gift
or
boxes
Saturday
in
with
the
a
store
big
only
audience,
and
you're just
sell
gonna
from
do
there.
the stick,
What we noted
right,
real
and be
quick
done with it.
was that
But last
the
night, it was
items
just
that were on
some
display
friends
were
sitting
selling
around
very
in the living room
well,
drinking too much.
and
Yeah.
And
the items
talking.
in the sets,
I loved it.
which
Yeah,
were dispersed all through the
yeah,
store,
that's-
were selling very well.
I'm always
which
getting, what do you,
bring
I
that up
gotta
because
ask
that's
this,
how we're
man.
measuring
like,
our success.
When you see, we had that
So
couple at the
basically
front that looked
evolved
like they were having the
into
worst
what
time
is
of their
now
lives. I always,
a themed
every time
ad
I'm at a comedy show, there's always
and a
that
themed
one
display
couple who's just
program.
like, they
And
hate
sometimes
comedy, they
gift
want.
boxes if
you are
they
more
relate.
focused on them,
And then
than the other
the
100
goal
people
kind
who
of
are laughing.
evolved
Right.
into what
It could be
is
a
now
1,000 people
a
laughing
goal to
their ass
educate
off,
the customers
right in the front.
as to the availability
Right in
of
the
different
They always
brands
get
and
placed
different
there, too.
commodities throughout
Somebody
the
in the
store
front just sitting there
and
with his
in different
arms
countries
crossed.
throughout the jungle. And so
had a
the
rough day and a
display in
rough
both stores
life or
is not
some
in international. It's out
he
in
wanna
the general store.
and you hear
at Eastgate, it's right in
Dude, I mean, that was how I kept thinking. I was like, literally,
immediately.
Why?
And here it's
and I always am
right
so
across
curious
from the
about that from like a
registers, right on
weird,
the top of the meat department.
where I'm like,
So we're able to show that customer base
and I feel like you'll see those people
that maybe normally wouldn't go all the way back to international to show them what we have and to draw them back there.
They were on a blind date.
We use a report to measure that, and it's been phenomenal.
The way I've been selling discoveries to the audience, because I've mentioned it a few times in the show, because I think it's a really cool cool idea, right? You know, at the end of the day, I think you said it in a much more diplomatic way, but the way I would say it is it's a way to get white people to try stuff that's out of their wheelhouse.
I avoided that kind of lingo, but
no, that's a Mark thing, not you.
It's basically where its location is the typical Anglo customer that is doing regular grocery shopping. All of a sudden, as they walk out of the meat department, they're exposed to Dutch or Chinese or whatever the theme is, and that base customer that normally would shop China, they're not going to shop this. They're going to go right back to the section they're used to and buy their Chinese and their stuff. But the comments I hear when I'm up there working all the time is, look, they have foods from whatever country.
So, folks, how you doing? All right.
They've got foods
it's good
from
to
China.
be here.
Like,
blah, blah,
oh my
blah.
God,
hey,
foods
you ever notice about
years, but, I mean, that customer went to the registers at that point. You know, they did their grocery shopping, they got their meats, and maybe they took off and went right out the door. So
it's one of the coolest things I think about Jungle Gyms, right? Is that we try to make this an inviting environment, not only for the people who would traditionally shop those countries or are from those countries, but again, ultimately to get the average consumer that comes in Fairfield, Ohio, to try something out of their wheelhouse. You know, I mean, even someone adventurous like me, I like it because it always acts as a teaser to be like, oh. I didn't know this was a thing. I first really dove in because it's funny. I have a cousin in Germany. I have a lot of family in Germany, but like I have a cousin in Germany, and I was talking to him when I first started. I was like, "Hey, we're about to do a German month," and then he walked me through a few of those. He's like, "Is that all you have?" I was like, "No. This is just like a teaser to this."
Yeah,
but it was cool because it got me in a conversation with somebody that was native to the country, right? And we're related. It's not even really them. You know, it got me interested in it, and now I find myself buying some of the snacks at Gregory. There's your shout out, Gregory. But then Greg has been trying to get me to eat forever. So I think this is such a cool idea, and it was one of the big reasons I wanted to have you on here. So I know you got your reports out here. How does this all work?
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these because numbers are boring. But
you say that, but you know what's funny is people seem to love it. I'm a little bit with you. I want to know the surface layer of numbers, and then after that I'm like whatever. But people really do seem to love it. So feel free to dive in.
You're not going to tell me. You can tell me
just a snippet. The average sales per month. It's measured per month. Approximately 3 years ago, the original sections were doing about $1,000 a month. That's nothing.
But he's got like 10 of them up.
We've got programs now that have been as high as 99,000. So my
people are lined up to see him perform for up to an hour.
In some cases, I'm playing it for the seasonality or something, but I think our top one was chocolate.
I always wonder what those shows would be like. You know, and I guess that's me showing my age a little bit too.
Last month
did what are they going to do?
Like $58,000 in sales.
You know what I mean? That's where my head goes immediately. I'm like,
it's doing well, but more striking because the sales
I drove by
out of that section and out of the ads are great, but remember the real goal is to expose these items to the customer that didn't know they were there. So Eric Goodcoop, who is our number guy, phenomenal.
And I hear
he has a report that measures this after the fact.
Oh, that's my girl. I got to go in and see her.
Oh, to like see if it affects the actual section.
Does it affect that section? Yeah, it is genius.
I didn't think you knew her.
If I'm reading this right,
Eric, I knew her. We've been on tour together and everything.
This is like a 2-year snippet from January 2020 to September 21.
It was not some
the items.
Because I'm thinking if anybody's going to have a club, if anybody's going to have a line down the street on a Tuesday night,
that tells us that we're driving that customer back to those sections.
I heard
part of what we do is we mark the item in its home section with a tag that says Discovery.
Same cadence, same everything.
Discovery Coffee. So they, when they go down the aisle, can see where it's flagged as a regular home.
And I'm like,
we leave those tags up for a couple months so they can find the stuff in. All the reports here tells me that this is working. So
who is that? And I remember
this month's for December.
I'm like,
we, because I do kind of work with committee. We all discuss it amongst ourselves.
You're gonna hit some other people, you know, if you go back in.
We decided to feature coffee. Which makes
but that was another little internet sensation.
It's kind of brave.
I mean, it's been working for
the type of environment we're in right now with supply.
I'm sure.
But yeah, we decided to go with coffee, and part of the idea of this was coffees from around the world. So I wanted to feature coffees from different cultures, coffees from different countries. One caveat is just because an item maybe is
not the whole
an Italian coffee doesn't necessarily mean it's Italian beans. I should mention. A lot of these countries and a lot of these manufacturers import their beans. From Ethiopia or wherever they're getting them from, and then they put their own twist on it. But I tried to feature some of the best items out of every country. So consequently, on the display up front and in a lot of the stuff, when I got ad space, you'll see the top 5 blocks of international are Discover items.
So they got a guy from England.
And so I'll feature what I think are some of the best items. I featured the countries of Ireland with the Bewley's products. Probably the biggest surprise so far, Turkish, which makes sense when I think about it. I've got several Turkish items out there, Alamede and Pizzazz. They've been the biggest surprise.
They watch TV. They watch American
TV.
They're
flying.
That's so funny, man.
They're flying.
And I was always sort of curious about that.
Partially my own ignorance and not familiar with the brands, but I personally am stocking the section in here, and I'm stocking it every day, so I can see what sells. The Hispanic representation, I've got the Stello coffee, which is strong Mexican Latino label.
When the pandemic first started,
it's actually Spanish from Spain. San Domingo from the Dominican Republic. Yacona from Puerto Rico.
I told somebody,
German,
I said,
which you tried.
You know,
I
this
have
is the
the
first
Jacobs.
Yeah, I literally sipping on it as we speak. So I just brewed a pot right before we started, and it is really good. It's like nice and how should I say, fresh, crisp, and intense in flavor, bold. I believe a coffee expert would say.
What you find with a lot of these, especially these German coffees, they've been manufactured since like the 1800s. I mean, these are old staples.
I love that though.
Dalmire, which when I look at the package, it's actually out of Ethiopia.
Oh, that's funny.
But they're processing beans. Greek, I've got Lumitas.
Any upcoming projects?
Italian, can't do without Italian.
Yeah. Speaking of podcasts,
Lavazza,
Joe Rogan podcast.
I've got the
28th of December.
And these are long lines that if you go stay in a nice hotel,
amazing,
you'll find those are what they put in.
We'll get to the Joe Rogan bridge.
It's like I'm a little
we'll cross that bridge
only because I've been bougie a few times.
Didn't sound as good.
From Japan, I've got several iced coffees like UCC and Poca.
Beginning of next year.
Vietnam, I'm featuring the Trong Nguyen coffees, the G7s.
I don't know.
And then I also got a strong mix of what I call domestic.
I don't know what platform
some of these are kind of a mixed feature because what I think will turn out to be the big gun of the whole thing, as usual, will be our Café du Monde, which is up there. Yes, I wasn't sure how it would be hit by the Gringo coming up that aisle, but they're nailing it. So.
Oh yeah, well, what's interesting to me about that is I think there's something. You have kind of two angles there because I know it's really popular in Vietnamese culture, and I'm assuming that's because of the French influence and what have you. And then, of course, the fact that Café du Monde being so popular in New Orleans in the first place. I feel like it's one of those like badge of honor buys, you know.
It's just we're buying it by the pallet. It's crazy. I mean, full pallets.
Thanks so much again.
This is Tony Woods. God bless
yeah, and you're
you
correct.
all.
There was a colonization and a war for a long time.
I'm
stepping on you all day, man. No, thank you so much. Seriously, man.
The other Vietnamese or the other, I'm sorry, the other
thank you again.
Cajun line I've got out there is community coffee.
Me on the show. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your kindness.
I'm
familiar. I really appreciate
a lot of domestics out there. I've got Boston Stoker, which is a favorite of the Dayton area, featured in a lot of those stores up there.
Speaking of giant lobsters,
Gringo kind of items like Tim Hortons.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, we look for talent in our stores from all over. Have you tried that before? Are you a coffee guy?
I am not a coffee guy, but I've tried a lot
about how Jungle
and
Company had Ross and brought him to the Midwest. And I'm like, a place that's not really known for its bodies of water or fresh seafood.
You better like coffee.
I think this kind of thing is one of the many cool and unique things about Jungle Gym. So again, keep that in mind.
It's very strong. Different angle I took on these displays and in the ad is I went after coffee candies,
with that in mind, let me blow yours by introducing you to the seafood master
coffee beans up there from Coppers and Copico. I've got flavored coffee candies
before we dive like
Valley's Best, Merit,
because I have
Harvest
a feeling
Sweets. So
this is gonna be one of my favorite interviews of the year. Although I keep saying that,
predominantly U.S.
but it just means that they're getting more.
A lot of them are sold in Asia. The Copico is a.
Tell me about yourself, man. Like, how did you start in the world of seafood?
So it's generally either Thailand
I started when I was young, when I was 12,
opportunity there and a lot of crossovers. I put some of the
lobsterman,
cream items from Vietnam and stuff up there because the Vietnamese,
I lived with my grandparents on the farm.
Like heavy cream in their
super
coffees,
old school.
so I tied a few things on like that.
That's how I got my first job.
Do all this stuff, and it's fascinating to me to think about this. And I'll probably talk a little bit about
lobster
it in
bags,
pre-roll here.
Yeah, man, all summer vacation.
Even like you mentioned, even
band and lobsters,
like,
doing all that, and all my money I'd give to him.
Or
that was my lunch money, my school clothes.
I guess so much of the production is
first set of golf clubs, everything.
Well,
all growing up.
Things that
and then as I got older and a little bit more freedom, I remember riding my bike because we lived right on the ocean
from different countries.
Yeah, where were you?
It isn't necessarily manufactured.
So I'd ride my bike right to the ocean, and at low tide I'd dig clams and pick mussels off the rocks. And I'd have a 5-gallon bucket on each handlebar.
A lot of headaches.
And I'd ride them back to my grandmother. She'd cook them up for dinner. And then at high tide, I would ride my bike back, and then I'd catch mackerel.
Yeah. So
and then once I got able to stay out at nighttime,
major
and I'd use the mackerel at night on the causeway for bait for striper fishing.
Tsunami a few years back,
catch big stripers,
destroyed.
That's
a lot of the manufacturing.
My life. I eat, breathe, and sleep seafood.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It's a passion.
So most of the Japanese stuff I get right now,
my kids, my wife,
is coming from Thailand.
That's how everything started.
So then I'll have someone say, "Well, that's not
went
Japanese,
to Marine Corps,
it's Thai." Well, it's
got out,
Japanese.
And then,
it's just they couldn't make it anymore.
Right, exactly. And
making a lot of money.
Actually, I think that's kind of a cool way to think about it too, because in like a roundabout way,
oh my god,
you actually are informing the customer on
school every day
culture still.
So
because
at the end, I said, hey, money's not everything.
It's not just about what's manufactured there. And it's not like we don't carry things that aren't manufactured in those places. But at the same time, it's a combination where, at least this is how I view it, where we have to attract, again,
to work for you and I'll prove myself.
I like that
verbiage. Up, do whatever it takes.
But at the same time, have to
$10 an hour.
Bring the things that are like, oh, this is a taste of home. Like you want that.
Shit, I know money's
I'm just not from Cincinnati. I think about how often I'm like, we could have this section here. The owner, the pizza I wanted, right? Or whatever silly thing I'm thinking of. But that's what you ultimately want. I don't necessarily care if it's fully manufactured there. I just want a taste of home.
What's this for, sir?
You know,
sure.
I think that's a cool way to go about that. I love that this is all born out of the idea of the subscription box.
What job I was doing there,
and that's
I was damn sure.
Personally speaking, I'm just
crab cooker there was, or I was going to be the best.
I would love to see that be a thing.
Delivery driver or seafood packer or whatever. So I worked my way up the ranks.
I see so much about it being popular. I can tell you how many times I've bought those kinds of things as gifts from friends.
Next thing you know,
I feel like that would
one
be
of the biggest
a huge
shellfish companies there is.
Oh, no
I am certainly game to try that.
They wanted me to move to
it's an area that
Boston.
We've experimented on and
failed. Ipswich plant.
That's part of what Jungle allows us to do here. We're able to try different things.
Absolutely not. I like working with you assholes once a month, alone every day.
Have to get back up and try something
plus
else.
The cost of living.
Well, and I also think about how Jungle said one of the times he came in here, he's just like, I like to bring
obviously the
dead things back to life. I'm like, so maybe this is something that we resurrect.
Not,
especially as the podcast starts to grow. That's where my head is, because like I think it would be so fun. I'll just pitch this to you, Jim, but I think it would be really fun. An audience, if you think this is a stupid idea, you let me know. If you don't think it's a stupid idea, really let me know. But what I think would be so cool is to have to
interview you, and I said,
we could do the themes that were kind
of
some
thank you so much,
between
absolutely
what you're
not.
doing with Discovery.
There's no seafood, no
show when it's not necessarily related.
Yeah, that's my
point.
point.
Stuff, and then so think about this.
We talked for a little bit.
Get those out in advance. The audience could get them at the top of the month, and then every week we could talk about stuff that was in that box, and they could kind of taste along with us.
Wife, fly her out.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
So
who knows? Now that I'm telling everyone I'm the biggest superstar of the podcast, a top 100 food podcast.
And by next broadcast,
it's so true though.
Our next time, we're up.
So
we're probably going to be talking.
Well, I can't go anywhere for a confidential employer because I have a non-compete contract.
By that time, have a complete schedule for next year done for Discovery. Cool. Nothing's ever firm here in the jungle, but
throw out a few teasers maybe and see what we're looking at in the future.
You can see what we're looking at and see how to pursue it.
Right. Yeah, and I'm loving. And look, again, thanks for I appreciate you trying to bring the international voices in too. So
next thing you know, my wife.
I'm really excited to talk with Lucy. I've talked with her a few times just in passing.
I'm panicking because it's like
this is a terrible time of year for me talking to other employees.
What the hell's going on?
Everybody is as busy as can be, and I'm like, can I have 11 seconds of your time? Cool, thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Talk to you soon.
International is doing more business than they've ever done.
I love it.
Just through the wall. We're running at about 20% growth or something.
I took the tour.
Right now. It's just crazy.
That's amazing. I think there's been this kind of cultural shift where people are way more interested in it as of late. And in a weird way, I kind of, while COVID has been generally negative, I do think that it's also kind of brought about, we saw it at the beginning where people were like starting to break bake bread and stuff like that. Suddenly I was like, oh, that's weird. But I think what that was the beginning of is people going,
I couldn't even find my way. I felt like a hamster.
So I don't need to do the fast food.
This place is crazy.
Thing, right? Like, and you just try new stuff. You know, it's like that. You see it with all the food cooking shows and I don't know why I said that weird, but all those kinds of shows that I think are getting the average consumer interested in this kind of thing. And then look, you can come to a place like Jungle Jim's and be on the front line of trying new stuff, and we have everything.
And we've had a lot of customers come in here during the COVID.
The ability to come in, you buy what you want. Whatever price,
stores around us,
make the customers happy.
Coming back.
I want to create this experience.
So we are getting repeat business. An awful lot of those consumers I'm talking to in the aisles that are all new customers.
I don't give a shit.
Now that they've tried this, I don't think they're going to go back to the big box store. They're out of stock.
Get a good batting average.
Well, I think what's really nice here too is not only
that's what I do.
Stuff,
and
in my experience, and I've only been here a couple months, but in my experience, you all take commentary and requests to heart, especially when it's people from that specific culture. I think that's. I mean, the fact that we're employing so many people from, I forget what the count was the other day, but I think we speak like 35 languages in the store.
Nobody gives a shit.
Something around there, which is insane to me, right? Like, and I feel like the most uneducated person now is I speak like 1.5.
A salmon recipe last night. They wanted to make for
we get paged all day
long. You don't have freaking salmon in the case, so now you're an asshole.
Right.
Management team Kathy will call back and say, "I need somebody that speaks
Vietnamese. We work towards.
Right.
And send them up here, and we get that all day long.
We're not getting the results that
where else are you going to experience? I mean, you're really not going to get that kind of experience, especially in the Midwest. You might. I might experience that in like L.A., New York City.
Yeah, I love it.
And Cincinnati. Did you really think that would be on the list? No. But look at us.
The opportunity, but
we're the only place to do it. So you're here, folks. Right? No, I'm sure I'll say this in the actual lead up to playing the interview on the show. But from like the moment I met you, I was like, now here's a dude who's passionate about what he does. And so we got Lunar New Year coming.
I was hooked, dude. You came in to introduce yourself, and then like 40 minutes later, I was still like,
this is amazing.
Working on the ads
and I have been retelling moments from that story, so I'm happy to have you here so that we, and more happy because you kind of echoed that'll be fun too. Oh yeah, we'll educate the consumer, right? And like break the food chain, as it were.
In the box.
Before I dive too deep on that end, you mentioned about doing things big and crazy here. What are some of the things that are really such a Jungle Jim's exclusive? That's one of those products I want to love more than I actually.
At this point,
it's fine.
We've done so many things that
gotta have it.
Right, exactly.
It's my crew challenge.
Really not all that.
Name a fish. Say I can't get it.
Well, what's funny is I talked about fruitcake in a recent episode.
We got guys like, but you can't get an Aeroplyma.
Johnny Carson and all this funny stuff.
We're selling
in a weird way, I kind of feel like King's Cake needs to be on
whole sharks, whole alligators, scorpion fish, lionfish,
and just be careful you don't eat the little baby in the cake.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. You're telling me this cake comes with a guaranteed choking hazard.
It's like, no. I don't know if
it's legal and you can think about it.
Hopefully, at least.
I find it as a challenge and excitement for me. I love a challenge, and we're going to get it in.
Thank you.
Well, I look forward to having you and Lucia, a fish I didn't even know could exist. All kinds of international voices
Eastgate, and I saw it was
here yesterday. The Opa,
Opa's
super cool. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, it's the only known
we'll get some more international voices on there
next
next
time. Super cool fish.
Well, hey everyone, this was fun. A shorter episode, sure.
Oh, okay. Grill it with like pineapple.
Thank you for listening as always.
Yeah, it's the only warm-blooded fish.
Was our last episode of 2021. Time is just flying. I mean, it just feels like 3 months ago we started this.
But they all
next week I've got some more fun stuff for you. I'm trying to learn about that stuff. Even looking at the it was as soon as you said you're like, oh, warm-blooded fish. I thought this would be a fun New Year, new me. I was just like interview. So I'm going to be airing. I don't know if it's like the orange coloring or whatever, but I'm like, oh yeah, no, it totally makes sense. It looks different. And so I'm like, New Year, new me vibes. I actually had some fun. What brings you in with a personal trainer and eating from for a long time. And so there's all kinds of fun. I don't know anything about
yeah, the hardest part for me is I get super excited.
Jungle Gyms, would you get that kind of action? You know, I don't imagine that celebrity dentists are showing up to other podcasts in the international market game, right?
And then they're like, "Oh,
I don't even know other international markets to refer to."
The lionfish? You care about the lionfish?
Yeah, but you know
they're
who
bigger
else is
brother.
special?
They're like this will just hurt you. May send you to the hospital. This guy will kill you, and you don't care about the scorpion fish.
I'm having a great time here. I hope you all are too. Looking forward to next week's episode. And when I get back into town, we'll have some fun stuff. We're going to be getting ready for Lunar New Year in January.
So that's why I bring in
so many cool things. You know what? Jim teased you already with some of the stuff we've got coming up. So if you have questions or thoughts about this kind of stuff, and you want me to dive into certain aspects of it, what I would recommend you do, shoot me an email, podcast@junglegems.com, or call me at 513-674-6855. That's country code.
A lot of people are like, I don't like fish. I tried it once and I like it.
Well, let me know. I'll air the voicemail on the show unless you don't like Brussels otherwise.
Right.
Really? I just like it because
I don't eat any meat because
we're building that parasocial relationship.
That means you don't like any meat in the world? So all these fish taste completely different. Different experiences. Some are flaky, some are mild. I like cod because it's mild. Well, then you'll love haddock or hake or any of those things.
The Jungle Gyms podcast is recorded in the WJJI studio inside Jungle Gyms International Market in Fairfield, Ohio.
That will hit with you. So I always want to challenge people to try new things.
The Jungle Gyms podcast is produced and hosted by Mark Borson.
Because, I mean, I brought so many fish, and some of it's like,